on how you see this campaign moving forward and how you see JCI supporting this Care for Calais cause in the future.
Certainly. So as Chris spoke about so articulately, going down on Saturday was brilliant. We really managed to get a kind of a first-hand experience almost through their eyes of what it was like to be out in Calais or Dunkirk. And they spoke about their 15 odd times out there, definitely. And certainly, if anything, it's inspired me. And I know me and Chris have had this discussion to go out and see this firsthand ourselves. I know JCI London in 2015 went out to the camps in northern France whenever the jungle was there, and they also managed to bring across a number of donations. So I know that JCI have been involved in this previously, but certainly from a personal perspective, after being involved and learning about it and learning about the extreme conditions and the continued need for support, I definitely think there's a part that we can play in that. Funny, I was speaking to one of the Care for Calais communications guys yesterday, and he was just telling us a little bit more about why it's a really hard time for the organisation, in that they are continually faced a lot of scrutiny from the local authorities. I think it was even yesterday that the local authorities had cleared out, I think, another 60 or 70 tents from the area and tried to move a number of the refugees into temporary accommodation against their will, but secondly in a very close space against their will. A lot of them had already returned to the camps where they already were, except with half the resources and half the stuff that they had previously. So there's a lot of tension on the ground there. And they've all, in fact, we're coming into the summer season, and that means that we're coming what would usually in most circumstances be festival season. We're operating the tents that would come from your Glastonburys, your Reading and Leeds, your Beautiful Days. None of those festivals are operating, so none of these tents will be going to the camps anymore. So subsequently, they're quite worried just about going into the winter season, when they were due to a supply of tents and camping necessities that won't probably be there anymore. Furthermore, as an organisation, they've already faced difficulties in their own resources, in terms of there was about 4 or 5 other organisations and NGOs that were operating within Calais. Most of them at this stage have all pulled out for volunteer welfare, which is understandable, but it also means that their resources are really stretched. So in terms of, they're trying to find more resources, more donations, more supplies, and they're really encouraging of their own volunteers and organisations like ours to try and do their part to try and get this stuff across to the camps, which is, as Chris spoke about, the logistics aren't as daunting as maybe first thought. It's very feasible to gather a few donations, compile them together, and get them across. And the more that we can do that, the better. And the more that we can continue to work with the organisation, be it Care for Calais or other, establish what the need is, and then see how on the ground we can work as a team to gather those donations or gather those supplies, and then and get it across to help. I think there's definitely befitting with that, especially considering the challenges that they face through the summer and more importantly into the winter.
I think and you're totally right. I think it's really good that we're doing this call, thinking, and